Some tense hours downtown this morning. Police, paramedics, even the SWAT team surrounding the courthouse.
It was a shocking sight, but it was all a drill. The scenario, an active shooter in the courthouse, multiple agencies and volunteer victims taking part, all to test out the emergency response systems.
It was only a drill, but for the people inside the building, when those shots rang out, it felt all too real.
As students and teachers get ready to return to school, one local community is putting new emergency response technology to the test.
That video that you see rolling behind me right now is video just from a drill. This was just a drill. Today, school and law enforcement officials in Dartmouth teamed up to prepare for the worst case scenario.
Bang, 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 bang! Get out here! Suspect down!
Dramatic simulation. It took place today at Dartmouth Middle School. The SWAT team acted out how they would track down and contain the shooter. The drill was also a chance for school officials and law enforcement to test out a new communications technology from MutuaLink. Similar to that was used at the Boston Marathon, the system includes a hardwired panic button that immediately alerts police, fire, EMS, and other emergency responders.
It's unfortunate, but we're all aware of things that have taken place throughout the world and the country, specifically in schools and even different public places. So whatever we can do on our end as a school system to work closely with the police department to further ensure parents as well as students and staff that this is a secure facility.
Well, today an effort to stop violence in New Jersey. A dramatic drill at a high school with fake gunshots, military-style vehicles, and officers in camouflage.
Suspect! Stay right there!
Wayne Hills High School, Sunday morning, in the middle of a deadly, serious police practice drill. This gunman in the school scenario, featuring civilians playing intruders, teachers, and students inside, have a script, while law enforcement hasn't been told what to expect. The sound of simulated gunfire inside is all too real.
Can't be too prepared for the kind of tragedies we see all too often these days.
I literally started to cry. Like I got overwhelmed with the emotion that this really could be real.
It took months to plan this drill, involving agencies from the Wayne Police Department to the state police and right on up to the Department of Homeland Security.
Threat making its way around the country. Now it's hitting here in Oklahoma. I'm Paul Folger.
Good evening, I'm Jessica Shambach. It's called The Purge.
Threats are coming from this flyer. It's based off a movie where all crime is legal for one night. It's frightening, but police say they're keeping watch.
The siren, all crime, including murder, will be legal for 12 hours.
This is just a movie, but now some are worried it's going too far. This flyer is from one of the posts. It threatens a real-life purge where crime is legal for a night. A similar threat had police in Louisville, Kentucky on edge just last week. Some people said they even saw groups of people in masks pretending to do the purge.
It was Friday afternoon when the 35-year-old park ranger approached three skateboarders in Love Park, telling them it was time to leave. The situation quickly escalated.
What led me to start recording was the fact that the kid who did the attack was getting really loud.
And said the ranger had first politely asked the skateboarders to leave. That didn't happen.
I don't think there was going to be any reasoning with him like that day. He just wanted to just do what he wanted to do, and that was it.
You can see in the video that one of the teenagers tackles the park ranger to the ground. The suspect kicks him repeatedly as the ranger tries to defend himself. At one point, he's kicked in the head twice as several people walk over to try and stop it. Ignoring them, the suspect then spits on the ranger.
Of a violent, unprovoked attack is making the rounds on Facebook. A caller tipped us off to that video today.
Take a look at the video. It shows a group of people attacking a man in the Loop on Sunday evening. News 4's Deanna Zoga is digging into the source of this video.
What happens next in this video is violent. You'll see a young man at first hesitate.
What's it? Go ahead.
But then punch a man walking next to him hard. When the victim falls, he's kicked in the head. Off camera today, he told me he did not know the people who attacked him. They never even spoke before knocking him out.
Punched by a stranger and knocked unconscious. A pregnant woman recovering tonight after a random attack.
This was all caught on camera. She was knocked to the ground, you'll see here, but thankfully she and her baby are okay.
Cops believe the attack could be connected to a knockout trend where criminals try to punch victims unconscious with a single blow. Earlier this week, 72-year-old Donald Latham was randomly punched in the head while walking down a West Village street.
Missouri's governor is sending the National Guard to bring peace and order to the city of Ferguson. Police clashed with protesters last night in some of the worst street violence since a deadly police shooting 9 days ago.
Chaos once again filled the streets of Ferguson late Sunday night as police officers in riot gear fired tear gas into crowds of protesters. But the demonstrators stood their ground. Law enforcement officials report the riots began shortly after multiple shootings occurred around 8 p.m., heightening police presence as the crowds grew.
Today, the Missouri National Guard is still on the streets of Ferguson after a night that saw the most arrests since unarmed teenager Michael Brown was shot by police officer Darren Wilson. Protesters and police again going head-to-head. This stark image, an intense flame after an officer fires tear gas into a crowd. A woman helping one man who couldn't open his eyes after he was gassed. A small army in riot gear pushing protesters forward.
Hands up. Kill you. Get back. Hands up. Get back.
You're gonna kill him.
He's trying to kill him. He's trying to... Get back.
What's your name, sir? Your name's go yourself, all right? Go yourself.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, officer. Go yourself.
Officer, go yourself. He's trying to kill me. Hands up.
I've never seen anything like this, and I've lived over here for 32 years.
We don't want to be gunned down by the same people that we call to protect us.
I mean, it's trash everywhere. You know, they're shooting. It's helicopters every night. My son is 6 and he's terrified.
Stop the car! Turn around!
Our community feel threatened because the things they've done to us with the gas, with the flash bombs.
Credential media, you need to disperse immediately, or you will be subject to arrest. Do it now. In the city of Ferguson, in the United States of America.
Some in downtown Minneapolis and St. Paul looking to the skies and asking questions.
This week, a handful of low-flying black helicopters are buzzing just over rooftops and in between buildings. As WCCO's Kim Johnson reports, it's a training mission that has authorities tight-lipped.
It's a scene that may look straight out of an action movie. One after another, military helicopters, some with no lights, hover close to high-rises, weaving in and around buildings. The Department of Defense is in charge of the operation. Minneapolis and St. Paul police are playing a supportive role, but none of the departments will comment on the mysterious mission, only apologizing for any alarm or inconvenience the training may cause.
I think that the scale of domestic military exercises is not a good idea. It's a waste of taxpayer money, and I think it's inappropriate for special forces to be operating in American cities.
But the training that Minneapolis police say has been months in the making will continue.
And Kim, obviously, I know they're not saying much, but were they able to tell you why they're training here in the Twin Cities?
Well, you know, this is a routine training that goes on in cities throughout the country several times a year.
And images of assault rifles and armored vehicles have some questioning tonight the militarization of local law enforcement. The ACLU says the equipment is not necessary in American communities, but police say it is, and it's meant to keep you safe.
The riots in Ferguson, Missouri look more like a war. Police roll down the streets in armored vehicles and full combat gear.
One of the major national issues now arising from the recent events in Ferguson, Missouri is the militarization of local police forces. How much is too much? Well, a controversial new Army training manual dealing with civil disobedience may bring an answer to that question.
This training manual, first, is an Army, training manual that deals for both, civil disobedience, both in their operations outside of the United States. But the weird hook that has everyone so concerned is that it also deals with civil disobedience inside the United States. And so what's in there that's very, very interesting, that has people just very much up in alarm, is that against a non-armed crowd, they actually have lethal responses laid out in there of taking out specific agitators with sniper rifles, or even opening small arms fire into an unarmed crowd. It's one of the most, I would say, detailed documents and training manuals I've ever read.
A chilling new warning from the FBI tonight following the murder of American journalist James Foley. Investigators are urging police to be on alert for sudden terrorist threats after the ISIL killing.
Homeland Security and the FBI are taking no chances, issuing a nationwide bulletin to law enforcement saying there is no credible Homeland Security threat linked to ISIS, but warn ISIL is using social media to gain followers. Congressman Peter King and Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel believe ISIL is a threat to Homeland Security.
This is beyond anything that we've seen.
Critics claim the White House reluctance to use stronger military force has emboldened the Islamic State terrorists, who now openly taunt the U.S. on social media.
They actually take pictures of their atrocities and post them online, calling it a preview of what we can expect in America.
The threat from this ISIS group beyond just that region, reaching into the rest of the world.
The last voice James Foley heard was of his murderer, with what some say sounds like a British accent.
This is James Wright Foley, an American citizen of your country.
The World Health Organization has admitted it has no idea when this Ebola outbreak will end. The disease continues to spread at an aggressive rate in West Africa, having claimed over 1,400 lives.
What's going on?
This is truly a living nightmare that's not going away. Christianity in Mosul is dead, and a Christian Holocaust is in our midst. Day by day, it's getting worse and worse. More children are being beheaded.
You're startling me with the severity of what you're describing. You say they are beheading children?
They are systematically beheading children and mothers and fathers. The world hasn't seen an evil like this for generations.